Hello and welcome to The Extra Mile. I'm Linda Boudreau. Our guests today are Courtney LANCLOS and Butch DUPRE. Courtney is the Executive Director of Casa of South Louisiana, and Butch is a volunteer board member, also a former neighbor and good friend of mine. So it's good to have both of you here today.
I feel like it's a homecoming.
It's like a reunion.
Yeah, reunion.
Exactly. I guess to start, though, I always think everyone knows what Casa is because it's near and dear to my heart, but perhaps they don't. So Courtney, why don't you start by telling us, what is Casa?
Casa is a nonprofit organization. It stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocate of South Louisiana. Our organization trains community volunteers to work with children who've been abused and neglected and are in foster care. A judge appoints these volunteers to represent each child to assess their situation and do a little bit of investigative work on what's going on with their lives, and then report back to the courts to give the courts updates on what's in the best interests of the children.
So this is really child-focused.
Yes.
To try to bring a voice for children.
Absolutely.
Am I right on that?
Yes.
Why is that important?
Very often children who end up in foster care, they are one of many, many children. Right now in our 3 parishes of the 15th Judicial District, there are approximately 400 children in foster care.
Wow.
And that's in Acadia, Vermilion, and Lafayette parishes. And in a overburdened system, including the court system and the child welfare system as a whole, these children are often forgotten sometimes, or just, overseen. And the importance of a CASA volunteer is that's one extra person advocating for these children, for those whose lawyers are too busy or their case managers have so many other cases and don't get to spend that extra time to find out what it is that child needs or likes or dislikes, or what the case may be. That advocate is that one extra person to make sure that their voice is heard in court.
Okay, so this really, it's court-focused, but Butch, you're a CASA volunteer. You're on the board now, but you've been a volunteer for a while.
Exactly, Linda. I was on a volunteer for probably 5 or 6 years before I was on the board, and I looked at it as a way to help kids who were in need, but through no fault of their own,
Right.
in a desperate situation. I'm a retired teacher, and so I saw close up a lot of cases where kids were struggling in school and probably at home and everywhere else because of family problems.
Right.
And so I looked into CASA when I retired, and I found it to be an organization that would really make a difference for a child. And as I learned more about it, it really serves as an extra set of eyes and ears
Right.
for the court, for the judge, and
Which the judge needs.
Yes.
Desperately.
Right, and sometimes things get sort of routine in the way cases are handled. Things get routine, and sometimes there's not a lot of personal attention paid to individual needs of a child. And so as a volunteer, I felt like I could fill that void. I could make a difference in that way. And it was. It's not as difficult as it sounds, and it's a complex issue. But the fact that you have a person who's willing to do the little things, and it's not as complicated. So I don't want volunteers to feel like it's an overwhelming
Where you have to go to
task.
court and be an attorney.
No.
It's because there are advocate coordinators who work in the office to assist the volunteers, to guide them through the process.
Right.
And to make it really an enjoyable experience, an experience where you feel some satisfaction of seeing the difference in the life of a child or of children.
And all our volunteers are trained. They go through a training program, so they're not just...
Which is extensive,
Yes,
right?
it's extensive. They're not just given this is this case, read about it and go meet these people. It
And
doesn't work
good
that way. Right.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. It is not like that. There's a 2-week training period, and throughout the life of the case, there's training other opportunities for, for instance, if substance abuse is the main issue with the family that volunteer is working with, and they don't know a whole lot about substance abuse, we have special training that we can, present to them so that they are well informed, have lots of knowledge about those specific issues, so that they don't feel like they, don't know anything about what's needed by this family.
So what does a volunteer do? I mean, what would be a typical volunteer experience?
From my personal experience.
Yeah, which is the most powerful.
Right. I would first meet with the child if they're in a foster home or living with a relative, or maybe in some form of residence care.
Do the children like meeting with their Casa volunteers? Is this a good thing for them?
I think that the volunteer, I know for myself, you have to establish a rapport, because
Right.
sometimes they've been through
a
a lot of distress and a lot of abuse and neglect and so
Right.
forth. So, but they, as being children, they're very adaptable. In other words, they're anxious for a way to get things right, to make things better. And it's hard to discourage a child. I found that they are very resilient, that they'll bounce back from the toughest situations more than we can imagine. Something that we would probably, just die if we had to think about.
And they're typically very anxious or eager to have that extra person giving them attention,
I'm thinking that would be good.
Yeah,
it
is.
That would be, wow,
Right.
somebody cares about me.
Right.
Yeah.
And giving them that extra attention typically kind of is what helps to kind of establish that rapport and that relationship.
Right. And just a visit to the school where the child is attending.
Okay.
And just to see, how you're doing, anything that you could, benefit from, that we could help you with. Talk to the teachers, to the principal, talk to the counselor, see if there are any issues that, could be done to help the child.
Okay.
And-
So
and
it's pretty
working-
community-based and extensive.
Right,
that
right,
you
right,
do.
yeah. And,
Yes.
I mean, as a CASA, an advocate, the volunteer has the same authority as any other officer of the court to go into the school and ask for documents or anything that might pertain to the child's performance, well-being at school. And the same goes making home visits. It's a powerful position, but it's all about finding ways to make that child's life more enjoyable, more satisfying.
And I guess it's also a way to try to bring some sort of non-biased
Yes.
voice to the court about the child's well-being.
Right.
Is that fair to say?
Yes, I think so. Within the school system, specifically when he was talking about the school, oftentimes for the older children who sometimes have more problems, if they're
Yeah.
problematic in school, but their teacher and the school officials know that the department is working to help the problem and that they've got this extra advocate who's there, being a part of a team is powerful just in itself. And CASA just kind of brings that together. That volunteer just kind of brings all that together. And I feel that children with volunteers just have more opportunities all over the place. In school, in the community, also in terms of placement with some Mr. Butch's had experience with his youth, had numerous placements by the time Mr. Butch came on board. And because of Mr. Butch's advocacy for that child, some of those placements, stopped. A lot of that change and establish some stability for that child. And that is just so
That's
important.
huge.
That's so important.
Huge.
Many times, as in the case of these children, most times there's not much parent involvement in their school life or any part of their life. So just to have someone who's interested in their education, it makes a difference in their mind.
So they'll start to achieve because
Right.
somebody's
Yes.
paying attention.
Yes.
Right, that the school is important, that
Right.
that this person is interested enough to find out and to inquire as to what things can be better for me in school. It makes a difference in the child's life, and it'll keep them in school, and it'll give them that chance, because when they age out of the system, they need those skills that if they haven't gotten that high school diploma or their GED diploma or something that they can use to extend into into adulthood and further education, employment.
Just successful independence. I mean,
Yeah.
just being able to,
Yeah.
live independently
Good.
and do it well.
Because what you're saying, because I don't know that people understand this, but when a child turns 18, if they're in foster care, all of a sudden they're like no longer in foster care. They become
Right.
kind of emancipated, and
Right.
they are now free adults to do
Yes.
whatever
Yes.
with whatever tools they've got at the age of 18.
Yes.
Right.
And they don't have mommy and daddy usually
Right.
to go back home
Right.
to. So some kind of support and skills
Yes.
are really important.
The department does have a program that is
The
offered.
department meaning
the
child.
Department of Children and Family Services, right. They do have a program that is offered to aging out youth, and those, once they become 18, they can become part of this program, and they do get some supports until the age of 21.
If they want it, it's
But
voluntary.
it's voluntary, right. So if they choose not to do that, they're on their own, and most of them are so eager and ready to be done with the system, to do their own thing. I want to be my own person. I want to make decisions for myself. I'm tired of people making them for me. And they, don't take advantage of the program that is very beneficial. That's the unfortunate thing.
Yeah, and that's a whole other show.
Oh, goodness.
that
Yes, it
program.
is.
But back to Casa then. Do you need volunteers? Or do we have enough? You said already, but.
No, we definitely need volunteers. We do not have enough. Right now, we have 47 active volunteers.
That's about 1/10 of what we
Yeah.
need.
Yes, and we're only serving approximately 80 children of that.
So each volunteer
400.
can serve 2 children? Is
Yes,
that kind of how it goes?
right. They are typically assigned to the family. So if it's a sibling group of 4, they will be assigned to all 4 of those children. There's not one CASA per child. It's
Okay.
per family is how it goes. And some CASAs have up to 1 to 2 cases at a time, meaning families at a time. So, if it's only one child in that family, they may have only one other child in the other family. It just depends on the dynamics within each case.
Okay, and how do you decide who gets a Casa?
Well, right now, because our numbers are so low and we don't have enough to go around, we often assign CASAs to those cases that are higher risk in terms of numerous placement disruptions, adolescents with just problems who need extra advocacy. If it's a large sibling group, there's several factors that contribute to children either lingering in the system, changing placement several times, or not reaching permanency timely. And those factors are considered whenever a
Those are the
CASA is
high-risk
assigned.
factors
Those
that
are the
you're
high,
talking
yes, yes.
Now, today you brought a little video, about a 6-minute video.
Yes.
That really features 4 children
Yes.
who have had Casa volunteers.
Yes. These children have been through the system in various states, were foster care, and were assigned volunteers, and it's their testimony about their experience.
Okay, so we're going to take a look at that, and this will kind of give our audience some idea of why they may want to get involved and become a Casa volunteer
Yes,
for us
yes.
in Acadiana, because our kids need. So we're going to watch that now.
My name's Alonzo Portlock, and I'm 3 years old, and I'm sitting on the front steps. My brother and I were waiting for my mother to come out and take us to the beach. So our mother's inside the house doing what she normally does. She's probably getting high, but we're waiting for her on the steps. And all of a sudden, this woman comes out of the house and just stabs me in the back 4 times. After that, I don't remember anything. I just blacked out. I'm 8 years old. My mother's still using the drugs and everything. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she decides, I don't want to be a mother anymore. Because now it's like, now what? Now what do we do? 30 minutes later, I'm in the system. I'm institutionalized now. That was real tough for me.
My name is Kaya, and I'm 26. And I like being a veterinarian because I love working with animals. Getting their shots and making sure they're okay and they're not sick, and giving them back to their owners. I'm 35 and I have 2 kids. We like to go skiing and race each other down the hill, and we're happy and then we do it again.
Hi, my name is Pamela Butler, and I am 6 years old. We've been traveling in the car for quite some time now, and it's cold. And tonight we'll be sleeping in the back of a U-Haul, and we don't have any blankets. And I don't know when we'll eat. Now I'm 7 years old. My mom just woke me up. She's yelling and running around and grabbing all of our stuff and grabbing my sister and myself. All my mom kept saying was, "The cops are coming, the cops are coming." We ran outside and she told me to hide under one of the cars. So I crawled underneath one of the cars in the parking lot, and I heard the cops come and the sirens and yelling, and they're grabbing my mom and arresting her and my stepfather, and they've got my sister, and everyone's yelling, and then the cop like crawls under and grabs me out and puts me in the back of a police car, and I watched as my mom faded away.
Being a police officer is kind of a good job to the world because you can save lives. I'm 25 years old. My name is Scott Williams, and I'm a police officer. My name is Jonathan Williams. I am 38 years old, and I like to preach. I like talking people out of violence or bullying, and that's why I like being a preacher. The happiest moment in my life is right now.
I'm glad I met my Casa because I don't have to live that life. I don't. A lot of people live that life because they have to, but I don't have to because I have an option. I have a Casa now. Because it was someone that took interest in me that I didn't have before, because when you're in these foster homes, you get lost. So I didn't feel alone. I felt like there was somebody there. There was someone there that wasn't there before. To me, my Casa was an all-star, you can say. He enlightened us. He turned the light on.
Home is where you come from. Where you come from is where you don't want to leave. It feels kind of wonderful because I got my guardian ad litem next to my side and my family next to my side. It feels kind of wonderful. Makes me feel like I have people who care for me. And now I'm back home, I'm just like, I'm happy.
To me, my Casa means a trusted friend, an advocate, a voice. Because when you're young, no one listens to you. They really don't, especially in the foster care system. So for that, she's been everything, like the light at the end of the tunnel. But she's the highlight of my life. She was my friend. I didn't really have anybody.
My nickname is Laffy Taffy because when I hear something funny, I laugh a lot. What I like about my new family is I have lots of brothers and sisters to play with, spend time with them. So it makes me feel really good to have brothers and sisters who can look out for me. If I could tell my new mom one thing, I'd probably tell her that I love her and she's a great mom.
To give a child a Casa is to give them a voice, and to give them a voice is to give them hope, and to give them the hope is to give them the world. And I believe that with all my heart. I don't know what I'd do without my Casa. I don't want to imagine.
Wow. So if people want to make a difference, this is a way to do it, huh?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So, Butch, you got into this after retiring. Do you feel, in your experience, has it been that rewarding for you, as I'm sure it has been for the Casa volunteers that worked with these young people?
I surely could relate some of the same moments that we just witnessed on that video, and certainly it just sometimes make you want to break down and cry.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you have a little time and interest, if you have a good heart, this is a good place to help kids.
It's powerful work,
Yeah,
powerful work. So I guess now's the time to let the community know about the volunteer training, because you can't be a volunteer without going through the training, right?
Correct,
So
that's
what
right.
what are all the steps to that?
We have volunteer training coming up in August. August the 1st is our first night of training. It's a 2-week training series, the first and second week of August. Training is held at Bulldog Safety Incorporated. That's located at One Flag Place in Lafayette off of Farrell Drive behind Women's and Children's Hospital. And on the 20th of July, we have a informal orientation scheduled for 6 p.m. at the Lafayette Public Library South Regional Branch for any interested community members who want to learn more about CASA but are not sure yet if they're ready to commit to volunteering for our organization. They can come out to that orientation and learn more about our program, get more questions answered. Mr. Butch is going to be joining us that evening, so he can give some firsthand experience information to anyone who's interested in volunteering.
About how long does it take what's your time commitment per week, per month? Butch, how much time do you spend? Or did you spend when you were a kid?
Every volunteer is required to have a face-to-face meeting with their child once every month.
Just once a month. That's
once a
not
month,
asking
right.
too much.
Right.
And of course, some cases are more
Right.
complicated than others and need more attention. And as I said before, the advocate coordinators that work in the office are there to guide and to assist the volunteers. And it's probably, it depends on the case as to the amount of time that it would take. And you have to, I think the volunteer has to be guided by their own common sense and their ability and their need, to help each case.
Okay.
It takes roughly about 10 hours a month. By the time you visit your child, there are some reporting that you need to do to the advocate supervisors to let them know how your interaction was with the child. By the time you make phone calls and things like that. So generally about 10 hours per month. Again, that may be more, it may be less, depending on the case.
But a ballpark.
But a ballpark, yes.
And I want to make the point that this is more than a mentoring program. We're so familiar with mentoring programs and we know how important they are, but this does have some additional caveats to it, right? Like the court reporting and the role that the
Yes.
CASA volunteers play with the courts. That's significant. That's a
Yes.
big difference.
Yes, we are the only nonprofit organization that empowers the community to be officers of the court, to speak on behalf of the best interests of children. We have a format for court reports. It's not like, here you go, write a court report. It doesn't work that way. There's a template that we use that guides them. There's headings. It's quite simple. We do editing at the office, so if they're unsure about how to write formal reports that way, that's okay. We don't require a whole lot.
Okay.
And we do editing and things like that to help them write these reports and make sure that they are appropriate for the court once they get to the judge. But the judges understand that these people, our volunteers, have no expertise, that they are concerned community members.
If I remember correctly, and correct me, I could be wrong, but didn't judges really start the CASA program?
Yes, in fact, a judge did in Seattle, Washington, back in the late 70s, realizing that there was just too many cases coming across his desk. He was making, uninformed decisions, haste, which greatly impact the lives of families, and felt like they needed some extra advocates, helping him make those decisions. So yes, it started way back. It's a national organization. There are CASAs across the entire United States.
Okay, and they're governed. There's some real accountability
Yes.
in the whole CASA structure.
Yes, certainly, especially through, since we are working with the court system, lawyers and
Exactly.
judges. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. Now, Butch, you're a volunteer board member too, so do you need more board members as well?
We certainly can use more board members, people that are interested in trying to help us grow this organization, because officially we have our local charter as of this time last year, so we're very
Happy
very
anniversary.
young.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
a very young organization, and through the work of several dedicated employees, we've gotten this far, and we have a wonderful staff, and the volunteers are going to love our staff, including Courtney and the others.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because they are 100% committed to our mission.
But you
And,
need volunteers from Acadia, Vermillion,
Vermillion
and Lafayette parishes. So-
exactly.
Right.
Yes, the three parishes, Lafayette's better represented, is better represented in the volunteer group we have. So we're trying to reach out for more volunteers in Vermillion and Acadia parishes, because there's the need there that the same as in Lafayette Parish.
We need the representation.
Yes,
Right.
everywhere, yes.
So in the last 5 seconds that we have, what do you want people to know about Casa? Butch, I'm going to throw that ball to you. What should they know? 5 seconds.
Casa is about kids, and we have great need in Lafayette and Acadia and Vermillion Parish for our kids, and they are the future.
And Courtney?
If you want to make a difference in the life of a child, being a CASA is the way to do it, for sure.
So you have an opportunity to serve. Call them,
Yes.
take the training, become a part of helping kids. Thank you so much. I'm Linda Boudreau, and you've been watching The Extra Mile.